I noticed on your website, you offer a service called Familytics. Tell me what that is. Tell me why it matters. And in relation to, I guess, your own family business, what you've learned there and how it informs that work.
Sure. Yeah, no. So it's, again, Familytics is like unvarnished faith, another one of these terms that I coined. And that was, I don't know, maybe 5-6 years ago or something. But as owners of family businesses, there is this really neat and special and unique bond and connection and trust. And we spend a lot of time, as do many owners of family businesses, in family business settings, whether it's in networking or events or forums or whatever kinds of things, conferences. And there's this ability to share what really is important, what's really getting in the way, what's really kind of keeping you up at night, in ways that are not going to go anywhere other than to be helpful back to you, because the people you're talking with have all their own stuff that they're dealing with anyway. And so after literally decades of having these conversations and noticing all these different notes and all these different things, and I probably do maybe a little more than that than the rest of my family does, we had this treasure trove of information about what are the best practices in family businesses, and what are the things. What are the core values? What are the core tenets? What are the key success factors? What are the critical failure areas around succession, around governance? And so kind of pulled all that together and gave it this wrapper of Familytics to sort of leverage the whole idea about data analytics. And so it's more of a qualitative versus a quantitative, but a qualitative view based, again, on 25 years of hundreds and hundreds of conversations with successful family business owners about what does success look like in a family business area, and largely about ownership and management, about governance, and about generational succession. What are the different things that come into play with that? And so, we as a family and I as an individual have been given so much from our involvement with our family business that Familytics and the work and the conferences and the things that we do is just a very small way to start to give back and pay it forward, because there were people who on whose shoulders we now stand, who helped us 25 years ago, and so we're trying to pay that forward now.
What is one of the biggest challenges that families face in having a new generation come into a business and be successful in that business? Yeah, no, it's a great question, and it's the question when it comes to family businesses and longevity. So, the data shows that less than 5% of businesses successfully transition to the third generation. So it's very, very rare. And again, sometimes it's intentional and it's for good reasons, and other times it's not. And sadly, a lot of times it's not. But the biggest challenge is, no two successions look the same. And whether you're going from a matriarch or a patriarch to siblings, or siblings to cousins, or cousins to second cousins, however that kind of relates, inevitably the level of engagement, the skill sets, the management roles versus the ownership roles are going to vary, in some cases, enormously. So, one of the things that I've found and we've found is there are literally an infinite number of ways that businesses can succeed from generation to generation. But an infinite number of ways, the only way that we can say with certainty won't work is a way that the incumbent generation designs for the succeeding generation to manage. That succeeding generation has to have significant skin in the game and involvement in it. So when my siblings and I bought out our father in the mid to late 90s, we did the succession in the late 90s, but started in the mid 90s. He said, look, I'm not going to be around after this succession. You all need to figure out what it's going to look like, how it's going to work. And so we sort of stared around the table at each other, both literally and figuratively, and took the better part of 2 or 3 years to figure that out. We worked with experts and consultants and different things. But he had the vision to recognize he didn't want to rule, from retirement. And so, I think we learned a lot about that. And if there's not that engagement on behalf of that next generation, then you really have to think about all the different stakeholders, not just the family stakeholders, but the management, employee stakeholders, the customer stakeholders, the community stakeholders, the suppliers, so many different people whose lives and livelihood are at bay. So just making sure you have that engagement, from the generation, and that open dialogue, both intra and intergeneration, are really critical.